Hi, welcome to Matt's Garage. Today I'm dropping the fuel tank on this Bronco for the 6th time. Why not? Just doing this to take some weight out of the tank. It gets a bit unwieldy when you're trying to handle it and it's full of gas. Those jigglers are lifesavers, man. You don't have to huff gas. Oh no, stop it. Oh, over full. Great. I mopped up the mess with the paper towels, just threw them outside to sort of evaporate. I got the fan running, which is kind of noisy, so I'm just gonna drop the tank. It's pretty simple. There's 2 J-bolts on either side, disconnect the electrical, drop it. I just gotta disconnect the hookups at the fuel filter and the return, and then once I have the tank out, I'll talk to you about why I'm doing this again. Some of you will recognize this as the Tom's Bronco Parts 23-gallon stainless fuel tank. This is the one I won at the Tom's event, not last year, but the year before. It's been great, but let me show you some of the symptoms I've been having and some of the solutions I have. The first symptom, probably the most important symptom, is when I was at wide open throttle, I would just start losing fuel pressure at a rapid rate. Like it would be at 43 and then it would drop to 36, 32, and then it would lean out, and that's very dangerous for your motor. The Tom's pump comes with plenty of power. It's like a 255 lph at like 110 psi, which is way overkill for the ProFlow 4. So I knew it wasn't the pump. And then I started thinking about the whole system, possible restrictions. I started taking a good look at the fuel filter. And I realized I had the wrong filter on. I had a smaller 40 micron Summit filter. I upped that to a much bigger 10 micron filter from some brand. I don't remember which one. But that solved that problem, okay? The other problem I was having is the thing wouldn't hold a prime. So it would prime and then immediately lose pressure. Well, there's no check valve in this, and actually most aftermarket in-tank fuel pumps do not have a check valve. Factory ones, like on the Jeeps, they all have a check valve in the body of the assembly that's in the tank. So I just ordered a AN6 check valve. I think it's Evil Energy brand, and I put that in line. That solved the priming issue. I'm gonna show you that setup right now. Let me grab my phone. Oh, there you go, it's written right on there. So that's a Fuel Lab 10 micron filter, and then to the right of that is the Evil Energy 6AN check valve, and that just mounts to the frame. The other issue I was having was I was still getting a leak at the threads right here. I had originally done white Teflon. That was just ate it up and shot past the threads. I switched to the yellow Teflon, which is gas rated, but these tolerances are so tight. What was happening was it was just peeling back the Teflon. So none of the Teflon was actually going inside the threads. It was all just kind of peeling back. So I switched to this Aviation Forma gasket from Permatex, which its downsides are it's stinky, it's sticky, and it takes 24 hours to cure, but it's fuel rated and it'll fit into those tighter tolerances. So reneging on my previous recommendation to use the yellow tape and use this Aviation gasket maker instead. The reason I was opening any of this up was I was realizing that although the Tom's tank is, the pump that comes with the Tom's is fine, it's overkill for the ProFlow, and I just didn't like the idea that I was drawing way more amperage through that circuit than I needed to. And in fact, I'd had an issue where my fuse on the first couple runs was melting. Now, I don't know if that's because of the restriction But I figured since I had the tank out, I just swapped to a Walbro filter, a Walbro fuel pump that's rated at the 43 PSI that the ProFlow needs. And it's a similar, I just got the one that the ProFlow says, these are the specs you want. I went on Summit, I found the Walbro pump, and I'll probably flash it on the screen right now. And I ordered that, and so I pulled that and I installed that instead. The problem is when I did that, the Tom's hat here, it's got a, I think this is AN6, right, which is 6/16, which is 3/8. And the nipple in here is a 1/2 inch. So I had to kind of destroy the pipe. I should probably just show you. Let me just show you. But while I'm doing that, I'll come back to that. The final, so I did all that, it worked great. And then I noticed that my garage still reeked of fuel, which I don't like. So I finally did a lot of research and figured out I'm actually using the exact wrong fuel lines for this system. So these fuel lines are stainless steel wrapped rubber fuel lines from Summit. They're rated for fuel, obviously. They're rated for fuel injection, but whenever there's ethanol in the gas, they have a permeation issue. So I have to redo all of my lines, the whole fuel system. It's not that expensive. I think in the end it cost maybe 240 bucks. Evil Energy has a kit that is PTFE lined that comes with it's like the LS kit, and it comes with all the fittings I need, and about 20 feet of hose or 20 feet of line to redo your fuel system. The one thing that's nice about this aviation gasket is it doesn't harden, so like for stuff like this you can, I should probably do these lines first. For stuff like this you can just peel it off and then reapply. This stuff stinks. When you can smell it over the fuel, that's potent. Oh, still got, okay. So there's the fuel pump. So this hose that I put on is not submersible. That's why I'm pulling this out again, because I need to put a submersible hose on here, which is a big mistake because you can actually see. Do you see that? It's eating away at this hose. So I need to sort of undo this and put on a submersible hose, which I just ordered online. They're not hard to find. I'm not sure what the purpose of this is, since it just seems to fall apart, but okay, don't need that anymore. So yeah, but I need the same length, 7 1/8, the same overall length. What I was saying earlier, coming back to it, is this is a 5/16 nipple and this is like a 3/8 nipple on the Tom's this hat. So you can't use the same hose. So I ordered 2 lengths of submersible hose and an adapter to go between them. So I'm going to go from 3/8 on this nipple, adapter 5/16 on this nipple, with the correct submersible rated hose. That's 7 1/8. That's a huge fitting. What the heck? Fitting, adapter. I have enough line to screw this up once. didn't screw it up. That's good. So put that fitting on there. Yeah. Okay, there you go. Don't want to get any paper towel remnants inside the tank. I mean, the sock will filter it out, but best to keep your tank as clean as you can. So we're going to do this. I'm basically going to coat both sides of this gasket. I basically go in a star pattern and just keep going until I see the gasket start squeezing out. Then I do it again, just to make sure, because when you tighten some, the others get play. So just go around, make sure everything's nice and tight. All right. Let's talk about hose. Okay, a little bit of education on hoses. These rubber stainless steel wrapped hoses from Summit, they have -6 AN fittings. Now, most of you should know by now, AN stands for Army Navy. It was a standard military fitting style. Generally, the civilian ones are technically JIC, but JIC and AN are basically interchangeable if it's not a critical application. So I'm just going to say 6 AN because that's what you order from Summit or any other supplier. Now I'm going to take this one apart and show you the end. This is the nipple that goes in and puts the tension on the inside of the hose. This just you have to be very careful. You obviously wrap the end with painter's tape before you cut it, and then you kind of work the strands in as you feed it into there. Once that's in there, that fits in, that gives the tension. That's the rubber hose type. PTFE line, I've got some hanging on the Jeep here. I'm just kind of straightening it out. I got two 10-foot lengths, which should be enough for my application. Inside is PTFE, polytetrafluoroethylene, also known as Teflon, which is the DuPont brand name for the product. Then it's got a braided stainless steel jacket. That's what gives it its tremendous PSI, like pressure withstanding capabilities. And then a nylon braided wrap for just aesthetics and like preventing rubbing. So the fitting is a little bit different. So when I open this, there will be an olive, okay? When you assemble this empty shell goes over the tube, then you peel back some of the braiding, you put this olive in, and then when you crush them, see the nipple there? That should fit in smooth. When you crush them, that olive there's the nipple. You know, when you put this in, it crushes that olive, and that's what gives you the compression. Assembly is pretty similar. You chuck up the hose in a vise, you put blue painter's tape on either side of your cut, mark your cut, and then you want to cut an exact 90 so that olive bites evenly around the tip and it sits flush against the fitting. And then, yeah, you just insert it. Usually I'll blow the line out with air and then hit it with some brake clean and then shoot it out with air again just to make sure I'm not putting any garbage into my fuel system, because it's going in unfiltered. I mean, the parts in front of behind the filter, not a big deal, but I'd rather not clog up my filter unnecessarily. Anyway, so you just assemble it and go. Luckily, I've got a template because I know how long my fuel lines need to be. So I'm just gonna basically match the length of the fuel lines I have and just assemble everything. I also have to make a new crossover at the engine because that's also rubber. So the issue is that with pure gasoline, these are probably okay. As soon as you get any ethanol in it, they permeate. It's kind of a shame, but you live and you learn. All right, I'm gonna assemble some fuel lines and then we're gonna put this thing back together. one more thing. To cut them, they make a special tool, but it tends to pinch the end of the PTFE line. So rather than do that, I'm gonna do the same thing I do with these, which is use a very thin 4-inch angle grinder blade, cutting blade, and that throws sparks. And you know, we were just messing with fuel. There's fuel vapor in the garage. So turn a fan on, cover all the openings on your fuel tank, and move your fuel tank as far away from you as possible. You do not want to create an explosion. I take no liability for your stupidity. Okay, the fuel system is back together. I'm obviously filling up the fuel tank now. I can't stress enough PTFE. If you're gonna have your car parked inside, or you're gonna have any fuel hose running in the cab, like in a fuel cell in the trunk, use PTFE. It's fluid proof. Yeah, make sure you use a submersible lines inside the tank. What else? Make sure you size the right filter, size the right pump for your system. A lot of lessons learned, but I feel like it's finally gotten there. Now, I just would really like it to stop stinking up the garage. So we need to let this cure for 24 hours to let that aviation gasket maker do its thing. Let me close this garage door here. It's been more than a day. It's been a week. So basically what I've done is I've hot wired in the fuel pump through a fuse and a switch, so I can just switch it on and off. Got a 10 volt, 10 amp fuse in there, that's fine. Just wrapped up a automotive switch so I can turn it on, and that works. So now I have to check every connection to see if it's leaking, basically. That's clean. That's dry. Dry. Okay, so the engine bay side is fine. Let's get this sucker up in the air. All right, so that's exposed. Clean. These are all clean. I can feel the fuel. I don't smell anything. I don't hear any leaks. I don't see any leaks. I don't feel any leaks. So that was successful and really wasn't all that much work. You know, one of the things that discourages people from doing fuel injection conversions is the whole dropping the tank and the fuel system thing. You know, find a buddy who can weld in like a hat, or buy those kits where you can, if you've got a tank with any kind of a flat top, one of those kits where you can just retrofit an old tank. Either way, if you can just get that done so you can get a return into your tank, you know, it's a piece of cake. What do you need? You need an angle grinder, some basic hand tools. It's not hard. But anyway, good. I'm glad that's done. And now I don't have to worry about the whole garage smelling like gas. I can already tell it's better. Like before, just even running it that long, I'd be able to smell a little gas. I smell no gas. So that's good. The real test though is gonna be Mrs. Matt's garage. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull the Rubicon out, pull the TJ out, put this where the TJ is in Mrs. Matt's garage, and then let it sit for a couple days. If it smells like fuel, she'll tell me. So that will be the test, but otherwise, Bronco is done. Did I discuss the fact that I tried to sell this Bronco? I listed it on Facebook Marketplace for $60K or trades. It was really interesting. I got a trade offer for like a newer Silverado, a diesel 3500. It's pretty sweet. A Cobra, an AC Cobra, like a C2 Corvette convertible that I got to drive. The Cobra was rowdy. I mean, I got to hear it run, I sat in it, but I cannot get in and out of those things, you know? I don't need to look cool when I get out of a car, but I really need to not look stupid. And I looked stupid getting in and out of that Cobra. And then the C2 was cool. It's just a little too old for me. Even though it's basically the same generation as this truck, it just was not my jam. Super fun car to drive though, the Power Glide 2-speed transmission. And then there was like a Resto Mod Camaro down in the Dalles. That was sweet. He wanted some money on top, so I was like, But what happened was I ended up going to car shows with the Bronco and really started loving it. So basically, one of the things I didn't like is the drivability, and then because it's got 411 gears with 30-inch tall tires, which is way too tall for those tires. So I just figured out I could just drive in second. Unless I'm starting up a super steep hill, I just start the car in second, and it drives great. And you know, with the 5th gear, with the 5-speed, I'm still only at like 2200 RPM at whatever, 65, 70 miles an hour. So that's been great. And then I fixed a couple of little things that were bothering me, like the ignition was sticking, the doors weren't closing properly, blah, 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 blah. And I got all that fixed, and now I'm like, hey, this thing's actually kind of fun to drive. I tightened up the steering box a little bit. Straight from Tom's, it had a little slop in it. I just yarded that nut down, tested it to make sure it didn't bind, and now the steering's tighter. Yeah, it's fun to drive. So I'm gonna keep it for a while, you know, at least, and enjoy it. But the problem is, now I don't have anything to work on. So I'm on the hunt for another project. I don't really have room for another project, but my cousin Arby is thinking about giving me that Korean era Willys that I helped him save from this random property many years ago. So that's a possibility. Gavin's 14, he's gonna need something, so kind of likes old Mustangs. Would that be interesting? I don't know. That's kind of that's where my head's at. Not much more to do on this Bronco, so. She's a runner and she's reliable. I don't know if I mentioned it, but I was having this issue where when I stopped, it would stall. After I figured out the whole distributor flaw thing, that was really the only issue, is when I'd stop, it would stall. Now, I don't know if that was because of the fuel flow problem that I solved with the bigger filter or what, but I just added this vacuum accumulator tank on here, which is something like, you know, lower vacuum, like big cam cars have. I kind of had a perfect spot for it, so I just worked this in line, and this just stores vacuum. Now the stalling does not happen, so that's good. And I found a little bit of a leak in the rear brake lines, tightened that up. I needed to space it up off of the axle tube, the junction block off of the axle tube, so that I could get a wrench properly behind it, and then tighten it up, and now that's solid. I'm not losing fluid anymore, so she's good. I'll see you next time on Matt's Garage.